Did you know that there's probably a plant growing somewhere in your yard or on a hiking trail or in a field or even on a roadside ditch somewhere that not only inspired Velcro, but is super useful as a medicinal herb or in your spell work? Well, right now is the perfect time to harvest it, so I want to talk about it. Burdock. So chances are you've seen burdock around and just didn't really know how useful the plant was. And actually, it has been used as a health supplement or in spell work since the Middle Ages. Originally, it was found in Europe and Asia, and European witches or herbalists would use it for all types of things, including diuretics and to help with inflammation, respiratory issues, the list goes on. And once it made its way into the United States, it became a really popular herb for witches and has a lot of folkloric history. Now, as I mentioned before, some of the primary uses for burdock are things like respiratory issues, to act as a diuretic, to clean out your liver, your kidneys. It can also be added to other things and used as like a poultice for skin issues. So there's such a huge list of things that you can use burdock for. It would take me forever to go through them in this video. But as many of us witches do, we take the properties for healing from a plant and apply them to our spell work. So when we talk about it being a diuretic, that's a cleansing agent. So it's pushing things out of your body that are not beneficial for you or that are potentially harmful for you. And therefore, as witches, we will add it to our spells to, let's say, prevent our enemies from planting roots in us. So basically, if somebody's putting a curse or a hex or some kind of negative spell on us, we can use burdock to ward that off. One of the ways that we can do that is to simply place some burdock root in the corners of our property. You can also hang an amulet on the south side of your house, especially if you have a door there. You can create amulets for yourself to wear out of the root. Absolutely dry it first, obviously. And the list goes on for ways that you can use it in your magical practice. Now, burdock itself is relatively easy to identify, although there are some lookalikes. Burdock is sort of unique. This is one of my burdock plants. It's massive. These things can grow really, really big, as you can see. And, you know, they become pretty easy to spot once they do. As you can see, the leaves are really dark on top, and the bottom of the leaf is a lot lighter. So that's one identifying trait for burdock. Second is its stems. They're sort of fuzzy and very thick. Last, one of the most useful components for burdock is the burdock root, which again can be used in tea, all types of different things. Along with the leaves, you can dry the leaves and break them apart and steep them for tea. You can also dry the root and steep that for tea as well. You know, you want to add some other ingredients like maybe some lemon balm. But anyway, you can do that. This is the root, and this is only part of the root, you guys. This is the top part of the root, and you can see it's like sort of bendy. You've got to clean this really, really well. And then get something like a potato peeler or a really sharp knife, and the outer layer is sort of woody. So you want to peel that off and then slice it however you want to slice it. And you can put it in your oven, say at 180 degrees for several hours to dry it out that way. Or if you have a dehydrator, you can put it in there and let it go for a few hours and, you know, dry it up that way. This is an example of a longer root coming from Burdock. This one broke. And these are really deep in the ground. So they're a little bit more sturdy, much harder than the stuff that's still attached to the plant. I still do the same thing with these in that I wash them really well and then I use a potato peeler to peel them. But you're going to have a really hard time unless you've got a crazy good knife to cut this apart. You can bend it and snap it to break it apart that way to make it a little bit easier to use. But if I was going to put some of this above a door or in the ground around my property, this is going to be the one that I use because it's a lot more sturdy. Actually, let me show you one that I've already peeled and that's more or less dried out. Always with the jars with me, right? So these are some of those longer ones that I've peeled and left to dry, and they're very woody. So you're not going to want to eat these so much as you want to use these particular ones for magical purposes. That isn't going to require you to chop them up or grind them, things like that. They will catch a flame. So that's also useful if you want to add a little smoke to your spells or recipes. And I just store them in a jar because when you get them, they're more or less already dry. It takes very little time to dry these out, and then you can just store them for later use right in a jar like I always do. And again, this plant is really easy to find. It grows in yards and forests and fields and even in ditches. So all you have to do is kind of look around for it. They aren't all going to be as big as mine was. I've got ones growing that aren't even close to that size, but some of them do get to be that size. And don't forget too that these will eventually bloom into a really pretty purple flower that's attached to a thistle. So, which by the way is actually what I was talking about for being the inspiration for Velcro, because it's got like a hook on the thistle and it attaches to literally everything: animals, clothes, hair, everything. So if it's got the thistles on it, and you'll know because the flowers on the thistles are so pretty, be prepared to, avoid the sticking because you don't want to get that in you, trust me. And those flowers too are actually really helpful, like with the thistles on them. The thistles can be used in your spell work as well to, say, help your spell stick like a thistle would. So when you're harvesting, if you happen to come across one that's got the thistles, definitely grab those too, maybe put them in a separate jar and dry them out first so that, we don't get bacteria and mold and things like that. And they're super useful in your spell work too. So I hope that my little quick tutorial on Burdock has been informational and helpful, and maybe you'll go out and find some of your own. Right now is the perfect time to harvest. You actually into like maybe mid or late June, before the roots start to get really deep. You're gonna need a shovel to pull up all of the roots. But once they are ready to harvest, and they don't have to be this big to do that, again, it is a great time to go ahead and pull these so you can stock up your personal magical apothecary with some burdock for all of its awesome uses. Anyway, we'll talk soon.